Insider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is The Daily Show. We give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Mark Ellis.
Welcome, one and all, to the best movie news show in the entire galaxy. What we say around Movie Talk is it is anything but rain on your wedding day. On today's show, we have a whole lot of It's a veritable trailer park full of cool stuff to talk about. Plus, we have some Justice League info, and we have some breaking news about a universe that just got a little darker. Ashley, who is joining me here today?
So here is John Schnepp.
That's right. It's not in the rundown, but the dark universe is crumbling.
Ashley, is it just me or does John look different today?
He does. He's looking
spry.
sharp.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Also here, Mark Reilly.
Hey, happy to jump on here at the last minute, everyone. Just came into work as I usually do, and you're on Movie Talk. Well, good, because, yeah, Dark Universe. Ooh, doggy.
You know, some people would consider the promotion of being up here on the desk with a young man like a John Schnepp a privilege.
It is a privilege. What do you think? It's not a privilege? I didn't say, I'm here on Movie Talk. I said, well, I'm here on Movie Talk, smiling. Smiling.
Right. Well, we're all smiling here today, but a couple of people that are not smiling right now would be the brass over at the Dark Universe. This is per the Hollywood Reporter, and our own Adam Chitwood on Collider.com had a great article on the website this morning about this, that the bottom line is that the producers slash writers slash showrunners, Kurtzman and Morgan, are out of the Dark Universe. They're no longer associated with the brand. And Reilly, why this is so striking is because we wanted to launch this whole thing. When The Mummy came out, we had this nice picture of all these celebrities that are going to be in these classic movie monster films going forward. And The Mummy came out, and it was a dud here in America. It still made a nice chunk of change worldwide, but critically, it was not well received. And even though you did have inklings as to what might be to come, we knew that Bride of Frankenstein was set to be the next film in this universe, and it's still, according to today, we still have Bill Condon directing it, Angelina Jolie. They have her possibly attached. They have Javier Bardem possibly playing Dr. Frankenstein, but that script got pushed back. They said that they wanted more time to retool it. So this news about the Dark Universe collapsing, and even the story that we had this morning about how they had these nice new offices for the Dark Universe where it was going to be housed, and all these great movie monster statues to inspire everybody to come to work every day. Those offices, by all reports, are now pretty much empty. Is the Dark Universe empty as well?
Yeah, we saw it coming. Look, they said that the Bill Condon directed Bride of Frankenstein was going to take a little breather. Let's get the script where it should be. And then that was the first sign that it's trouble. The Mummy, yeah, it did well overseas, but it didn't land over here. It's not a good movie. It really isn't. I always say it's like the Universal Tram ride. That thing, you drive by and the stunts and the fire gets in your face and you're like, that's fun. And then you go on to the Jaws exhibit. It's not a good movie. They tried to set up a lot of things. They couldn't find a tone. They couldn't instill the actual horror in your Dark Universe. And so they went, okay, we got to take a little break. We're going to figure out Bride of Frankenstein. That was the sign. Now it's sad. The offices are empty. You have all these great statues and these pictures, the old Universal monsters. They're inspiring to everybody, and there's nobody there. And so I'm wondering how they're going to write this. And at the end of the article, a source for THR that broke this said, no, it's not dead yet. It can be saved. We just don't know how they're going to save it. They need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what the tone is. They need to figure out the tone because they did an action comedy movie without any horror elements in The Mummy. Let's get back to horror.
Schnepp, are we looking to save the Dark Universe at this point, or do you think we're scrapping it entirely and we're just going to maybe start to make standalone movies that could incorporate classic movie monsters?
I think probably the smart play is to make standalone films that then, if those standalone films work, you can have them become part of a shared universe. I mean, there was, 90 years ago, it's like Frankenstein, Dracula. They weren't part of a shared universe, but a few years later, they showed up and were in a movie together. It might have been Abbott and Costello meet Dracula and Frankenstein, but they ended up doing these kind of team ups years later. So I think going the Marvel route and having separate films that could exist in the same universe and then doing a team up, which I think is what they were trying to do with this Dark Universe. But I think they were going the wrong way because none of these films are inherently action movies. All of these films are horror films. And I think that the people in charge of Dark Universe didn't get it. And so I'm kind of glad that they're gone. And I think that these characters are immortal in this essence. So if Jason Blum gets his hands on these films and is able to do a $5 million Dracula film and a $5 million Frankenstein film and a $5 million The Creature from Black Lagoon, I mean, look, that is the way you do these things. Then you tie them all together in a $10 million monster mash. You don't have to spend that much money on monster movies. It kind of makes me sick when I hear about like the Mummy costing $100 million or more. It's like, that's not the idea of horror films is not about giant big action sets and set pieces. That's not what a horror film is even supposed to be. So, I mean, I think just the approach to the Dark Universe was so wrong-headed from the get that I'm glad to see. I'm not glad to see it not work out. I did have hopes and aspirations to see, like, let's see what this action version of the Monster Squad is going to be, but it didn't work. So I'm glad that it's not working, and that the people who were working on it were like, we're just not going to do it. Even though they had Bill Conn, who's an incredibly talented guy, Bride of Frankenstein could have been really cool. I'd rather see them go back to basics.
Well, that's the problem, is that now it feels like the whole universe is tainted. Even if you continue with Bride of Frankenstein, you make that as more of a standalone movie, you still have that association with this dark universe that didn't really work. I think, to your point, action-adventure movies are what are so expensive these days. So if you make The Mummy and you make it a horror/action film, the reason why The Mummy costs so much money to make is not because of the horror scary elements. It's because you made this giant action movie that felt like a bad Indiana Jones, where you go all across the globe trekking around with huge stunt pieces. You didn't really need any of that, and Jason Blum, of all people, is the best example of how you can make a horror movie on the cheap and have it be very profitable, but also critically well received. And Chitwood makes that point in this Collider.com article as well. So let me ask you guys, because it seems like a lot of people are piling on The Mummy for being responsible for the Dark Universe failing. Is it inherently that we let off with The Mummy, or is it because the Mummy movie was not good?
Both. I mean, well, probably because it wasn't that good, and they set for that to be. I mean, look, they introduced Russell Crowe. He's like the Nick Fury, right, of the monster universe, and they wanted that to spin off so he could maybe pop up in Bride of Frankenstein, or then Invisible Man with Johnny Depp, all these different things. And because they didn't nail that tone, audience didn't respond to this, especially domestic. I mean, this thing did not make a lot of money here, where they're truly targeting these shared universe, these movies that we love, like the Marvels and the DCs and the Star Wars universe. And so when they didn't stick the landing with that, sure, Tom Cruise pulls a lot of money overseas, and that is here with The Mummy. But I think because it didn't land, that's why this is kind of unraveling. They should go to Blumhouse. And he was reported as doing a low budget. He wanted to do a low budget movie in the universe. So I think right now you jump off of that, you go to Blumhouse and go, how can you save this? And you just give him the keys to those empty offices, and Blumhouse can save us.
Schnepp, what's your next play? If you are whoever they tap, if you are the person they tap to say, how can we rescue our dark universe, what do you go into that office and pitch?
I would say you don't do The Invisible Man, you don't do Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, you don't do Creature from Black Lagoon, you do Frankenstein. So you do Frankenstein, and then you do Dracula, you shoot them back to back. You know, side by side, not together as a shared universe, but you shoot them together and you launch them together so they come out right around the same time. And, you know, make them low budget, make them really scary. I would even go Hammer horror. I would take these characters and give them new blood. So I feel like the Dracula Twice Baked was actually the one that was like supposed to, Untold or whatever the hell it was called. That was supposed to launch. That was the one that was supposed to launch this stupid universe. That didn't work. It was a fist of bats. I mean, come on. So that didn't work. They tried adding little in credit sequences with Charles Dance and stuff. They had great actors in it, but it's like, look, that didn't work. The Mummy didn't work. This can work. All of these characters, they've had great films, and that's why a lot of us horror fans love these characters. We want to see good versions of these characters. We want to see new versions of these characters. You just have to get the right people to make them. I mean, you know, so hopefully that will happen.
Ashley, you enjoy seeing mayhem on the big screen. When you see a movie like The Mummy get announced and you hear it's part of this whole dark universe, do you think that that's just biting off more than you can chew as an audience member saying, now I got to start to get invested in this entire universe when I really just want to go watch a scary movie?
Well, when you take, you know, The Mummy didn't do too well with Tom Cruise. When you take that and you combine it with, I think like a month ago, Luke Evans was saying that he wants his Dracula to be a part of this universe. I hated that movie so much. When you combine the two together, it just sounds like major garbage to me. So it's losing me real quick. So
it was called Dracula Untold was his movie, and it looks like the Dark Universe may be untold as of right now. We'll keep you guys posted on any new developments, if there are any, in the Universal offices. In the meantime, let's go to our first official story on the rundown, and it's about the mouse again.
Amid the growing backlash directed at the Walt Disney Company over their decision to bar the Los Angeles Times from their upcoming press screenings, the New York Times revealed Tuesday that Disney finally blinked and reversed its decision on the matter. This after a growing list of publications joined in on the cause to support the Times, including members of the Los Angeles Film Critics Association, the New York Film Critics Circle, the Boston Society of Film Critics, and the National Society of Film Critics. In a release statement, Disney said, "We've had productive discussions with the newly installed leadership at the Los Angeles Times regarding our specific concerns, and as a result, we've agreed to restore access to advanced screenings for their film critics." Mark, what do you make of this controversy, and are you happy to hear Disney change their mind?
It's nice to hear that Disney changed their mind, but this is the two-sidedness of Disney. So you have the cute mouse, and you have the pantsless Donald Duck and Goofy and everybody that's out front. Oh, that's what the kids love. But then behind closed doors, they are a corporate entity. They are an empire. They mirror a lot of what you see in their recently acquired property, Star Wars, where if there's one company on Earth that I would say could build a Death Star, it would be Disney. I mean, it would be probably be big mouse ears instead of like just the disco ball. But this is what they do, and so I'm happy to see that they retracted their previous ban against the Los Angeles Times. I don't like the statement because it still makes it seem like they made the Los Angeles Times concede to what their demands are, because the first line of the statement says, "We've had productive discussions with the newly installed leadership of the." So it's like, oh, you got to go clean house, and then we'll start talking to you again. And look, I'm happy to see that all these other critic associations kind of banded together as much as they could and said that we don't want to take this kind of stuff either, because Disney has their fingers in a lot of pots, and that bleeds over not just in the entertainment world anymore. So if you start talking about like how influential they can be in elections and other things, then it starts to send all the wrong signals to me if they're trying to suppress any sort of information or even just opinion pieces about their movies or otherwise. And Schnepp, it kind of pretends to a trailer we're going to be talking about later. The new Steven Spielberg movie, The Post, just had its first trailer drop, and Disney seems like they acted a little bit like Nixon's White House here.
I wouldn't go that far. I would, I mean, we got Captain Fake News. That's what's going too far. So I mean, Disney.
I am not a crook.
So I think there was just, I like the way all the news outlets kind of banded together. We even had a lot of other talent like Ava DuVernay got involved on Twitter. So I feel like, look, you can't do this kind of stuff. I mean, just like buying all of Fox would cause a monopoly. You got to go back in time and look at Ma Bell. You have to go back in time and look at a lot of things that have happened in the past. And so that's why I'm happy to see that both parties have come to the right decision.
Mark Reilly, you were investigating this case yesterday as we were preparing the show notes today. So do you view this more as a feel-good story about a bunch of newspapers and critics associations getting together and saying, like Twisted Sister, we're not going to take it anymore? Or do you see this as Disney having a point?
I don't see them having a point. It's the Los Angeles Times article had everything to do with the business dealings in Anaheim. And so, and I was looking and researching this stuff, and it's a lot of business-heavy stuff that I'm like, okay, so what am I missing here? And then for Disney to go, nope, and take away the screenings to the LA Times, no, that's very unfair. And to see the groundswell of support, it started to trickle into what we do here. I started to see people that we work with, our colleagues all over Twitter, starting to say, okay, we're going to boycott your movies, Disney. And when I think they blinked was when Ava DuVernay came out and said she stands with them.
She's directing A Wrinkle in Time.
She's directing A Wrinkle in Time with Disney. And when your director that is a big voice for diversity, is a woman that's getting over $100 million budget. It's a sign of the times right now, a step in the right direction. And when you have her going, nope, I stand with them. And then it's traveling into our circle and everybody's going, no, we're not going to do this. And then you have all these bloggers and critics and these associations say, we're not going to review your movies for the awards push that you're going to do at the end of the year. I think Disney went, okay, all right. Sorry about that. And they pulled it back. I think it's a show of solidarity between what we do and traveling all the way up to Ava DuVernay and a lot of other A-list directors to say, no, we're not going to do this. And you bring up the Post, it may be not that big of a thing. However, it's a good comparison. It's because we're not going to let this corporation stifle what you guys do. And we're going to come forward, stand together, and say, we're not going to review your movies. And a lot of people, I was wondering, okay, they're not going to go see The Last Jedi. They're not going to go see Ragnarok. They're not going to go see these other movies that are going to come out that Disney wants to push for their award season.
Well, that's the hard thing, Ashley, is because, I really want to see Thor Ragnarok. And I think everybody out there knows that I'm kind of a Star Wars fan, so I wanted to see The Last Jedi. It's odd when a bunch of critics associations seem like the plucky underdog here as opposed to the evil critics who are going to go judge a movie.
Well, okay. Do you know what I'm doing?
You are eating
popcorn.
I'm eating popcorn
Watching
because
it.
this drama is so good. I mean, how ridiculous is this? This statement that they released, they spoke about their specific concerns with the LA Times. What are your specific concerns? You didn't want them to run this story and they did? That's pretty awkward. And then you take it back 4 seconds later. This is awkward.
If the LA Times had a story where there were a lot of unconfirmed facts, or they didn't do their due diligence in getting the reporting necessary before they went to press with it, then I can understand Disney having concerns about that. But I think it was a very swift overreaction from a completely different branch of what they were initially reporting from the LA Times. So I think it was just you get upset and Dad comes home and he punches a hole in the wall, and you really didn't need to do that. Okay, here's the story is that when my grandfather used to get upset at the dinner table, apparently he wouldn't punch a wall or yell at anybody. He would simply take his dinner plate and he'd go walk into the laundry room and he would eat his dinner in silence by himself in the laundry room. So Disney, just go to the laundry room, have your steak and potatoes, cool down, and we'll all watch the Ed Sullivan Show afterwards. Little Ellis family yarn. Okay, what's our next story?
In a new interview with Aquaman himself, Jason Momoa revealed that Justice League will have a post-credit sequence marking the second film in the DCEU after Suicide Squad to tack on an extra tease at the end. Speaking to BBC Radio 2 during a press event for Justice League, Momoa said, "They do have to watch right through the end. You got to sit through the whole thing, go through the credits." Schnepp, are you hoping the post-credit scene in Justice League sets up future DC films, and do you think DC will start using them more often?
Well, they've already done it. They did it in Suicide Squad. They had Bruce Wayne show up, and so it's not like it's a brand new thing that they're doing. So they're going to continue doing it. I've heard there are 2 post-credit sequences, I think.
Ooh.
So yeah, more little tasty nuggets. So whatever. I mean, anything. Look, you should sit through the credits anyway. It's cool music. You talk with the people that you're with about the film you just saw. That's what you're supposed to do during the credits. And then you're like, look at weird names like Bob Scrimbles. Oh, what did that person do? Or Fimmy Fom or whatever. There's a lot of really cool, fun names that you can make fun of, which that's what I do. And then we get to some dumb post-credits thing that might not happen or might be involved in something or might never happen. So that's the way I look at it. It's like a little tasty nugget that you could have at the end, and then you're like, I'm done.
That's why I love your metaphor, because Ashley, I don't know that there's a bigger nugget lover on the planet than this guy right here. And there's no better feeling when you get like 20 McNuggets and you're driving and you're on a road trip somewhere and you just keep reaching in the bag and they just keep producing nuggets and you think you're out. Then you reach way down in the bag and a nugget fell out of the box and I get a little bit more. That's what a post-credit scene is. Do you get excited for them, or are you like, I just want to leave?
Yeah. Oh, great analogy, by the way. $4.99, 20 chicken McNuggets. I love that. I do like the post-credit scenes, but I like the funnier post-credit scenes. And Reilly, you added in our show notes that I think that the DCEU didn't want to do this because they wanted to separate themselves from Marvel. But I do like a little funny little tidbit at the end, like the Avengers shawarma scene. I think that's one of my favorites, but it's just a little funny tidbit that you get to laugh at.
Yeah, the shawarma scene, the Spider-Man Homecoming scene, I think was great. Obviously, Deadpool has the all-time great one, but that's a nod to another post-credit scene, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And so I do want to remind everybody out there that Marvel did not invent this, okay? This was done long before the MCU was ever around. Reilly, I think I can speak for you. One of my favorite post-credit scenes is also your favorite post-credit scene, and that would be the taxi driver driver at the end of Airplane, who is still waiting for Robert Hayes to come back out. And he says, I'm going to give him another 20 minutes. So post-credit scenes have been around forever. And so I'm happy that the DCU isn't trying to stay away from what is supposed to be Marvel's territory. Anybody can do a post-credit scene. We just hope they pull it off well.
Yeah, I would really love to see one. I cannot wait for Justice League. I'm selfish. I'm a Superman fan. I would love for them, if Superman comes back, he's coming back.
He's coming back before the post-credits.
Set up Man of Steel 2 for
Right.
gosh darn sake. I want Man of Steel 2, and I want Matthew Vaughn directing it, and I want Henry Cavill with his mustache back doing Superman. So set that up. But I actually think it's either gonna be a nice little fun kind of humorous thing. Maybe Ashley, you get your humorous thing. If there's two Schnepp, then maybe the last one, and since it's Jason Momoa, it's setting up Aquaman.
See,
that's what I'm thinking.
I think if there's two, then I think one could be more of a comedic take. But the one in I thought the one in Suicide Squad was great. It was arguably one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie because it had some sort of future implications, and Bruce Wayne was involved. And that's what I want to see from a Justice League post-credit scene. I want to see you set something up, regardless of what character it's with. I have a feeling it could be with the Flash, because the Flash is said to steal this movie, but if it's Momoa saying it, and Momoa has a movie coming out that's already in development, probably going to be at least one of those two rumored post-credit scenes is going to be related to Aquaman's standalone movie.
That'd be cool if it was Patrick Wilson, playing his brother, Orm, just him on the phone ordering like some breakfast or something, like a total throwaway scene.
I'd be in. I'd be in either way. I enjoy post credits. I used to hate them, and now I just did a total 180, and I'm on the good side. Why? Because tasty nuggets. I go Wendy's spicy nuggets.
Wendy's,
yeah.
interesting.
Wendy's spicy chicken. McDonald's never attempted the spicy nugget, and I don't know why. What's holding you
Acid
back?
reflux, man. Acid reflux.
Chick-fil-A is the greatest of all time, but McNuggets, they're pretty good in a pinch, and 20 for $4.99. We're going to go to buy or sell. This is a part of the show where we get to talk about other fast food delicacies that we enjoy and we'll pay good money for. Ashley, but first it's Batman?
Can we pay in chicken nuggets?
Oh, you can certainly pay. Today it's going to be like loose prison rules.
Okay. Ben Affleck has played the Caped Crusader twice now in Batman vs. Superman and in the upcoming Justice League 3 times if you count his appearance in Suicide Squad. After November 17th, fans hope he will stay on for many more appearances, including in the Matt Reeves directed standalone. But in a new interview with Extra, Affleck again threw some doubt about his future as the Batman when he was asked if he would aim to be a 5-timer Batman. His response was simple: "I don't know about that. We'll see what the future holds." Reilly, buy or sell Ben Affleck as Batman after Justice League?
We're talking about it again, aren't we?
Yep.
You did this to me.
I did. I mean, look, there's a video out there that I implore everybody to watch. It's an extra interview. It's Jason Momoa, it's Ray Fisher, it's Ben Affleck. Jason Momoa goes off for a while saying he wants to be on SNL. It's his dream. He wants to host it. Ben Affleck plays with him. He goes, "Oh, you could have done it for Justice League." All these things. That's really fun to watch. And then the conversation inevitably turns to Batman, and Ben Affleck couldn't look more bored when he answers this question. Now, there are two things to think about here. One, he's been asked this question millions of times. We've covered it many, many times. But this time, it really looks like he doesn't care. And it's sad because I want to buy this and say he's going to be back because Matt Reeves' Batman sounds amazing. I think Ben Affleck is one of the best Batman. You can argue he is one of the best Batman that we've had with only 2 parts. With only, we'll see how he turns out in Justice League. But I'm going to assume, and looking from what I've seen, he's going to be great. But he really does. He goes, we'll wait and see. He's tired of it. Now, the guy did ask 5-timer, so we could maybe go 3 times Justice League, BVS, and Suicide Squad, and then 1 more time for Matt Reeves' standalone Batman movie. I wouldn't be surprised if he did do the Batman with Matt Reeves because he had a lot of time that he placed on it. I know. I'm already feeling it coming. However, based on his body language here, based on his comments, based on a very early report back right before Comic-Con when THR said, nope, he's trying to gracefully exit, all signs are pointing to him exiting, and I think Justice League is going to be his last movie as the Batman.
I'm gonna sell that Ben Affleck is gonna play Batman again in a movie. I like his Batman. I just think that there's just too much pointing to the other direction here.
Yep.
Not the least of which is Reilly's pointed in this new interview. Schnepp. Ben Affleck has the look on his face where everybody's having a good time at Thanksgiving, and then politics comes up. And it's just, God, we're gonna listen to this.
Totally.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm gonna sell it. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I definitely do not think he's playing Batman again after Justice League, and a lot of us felt that way after he, quit directing it, and then he quit writing it, and it's just makes sense that he hasn't made that formal announcement, and that when it kind of came out a little early at San Diego Comic-Con, they brushed it away. Of course, I'd be an ape in Matt Reeves' movie. They were like, look, just wait till the movie's out, then you don't have to say you're Batman anymore. And I get it. And look, everybody who's irritated about Ben Affleck not being Batman anymore, relax. I mean, Val Kilmer was Batman one time. George Clooney was Batman one time. Michael Keaton was Batman twice. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, it's not James Bond. Sometimes you get lucky and you have a great run as James Bond and you get to be James Bond 3 or 4 or, oh my God, 5 times. That's James Bond. That's over the course of 10 years. So that we got Ben Affleck in 2 Batman movies and he never actually was in a standalone Batman movie, that's not cool, because I think he is a great Batman. I think I would have liked to have seen what his script and what he was going to make, and what that's a what happened, what happened to the Batman kind of thing. But Matt Reeves is a really talented guy. He wants to make a trilogy. He's on record saying this is the first of many Batmans that he signed on to. He's not just making a one-off Batman. Could we see
Justice League, and could something happen in Justice League, whether it's actually in the movie or in a post-credit scene, where there's an out for Batman to still continue in this universe, but it's a different Batman? Is there a way that we could have like an Azrael or a Nightwing situation where somebody else is going to take up the mantle for Gotham City?
Most definitely.
So Ben Affleck could actually die as Bruce Wayne, and then there's no more Bruce Wayne in this universe, but somebody else gets to wear the cape and cowl and hang out with these superior powered superheroes.
That could very easily happen. I mean, I don't even think they would do that, though. I think they would just swap out the actor. I mean, there's no reason. There's no reason to kill Bruce Wayne. But here's the other thing: is like the Flashpoint series is pointing towards having Thomas Wayne, and they're already talking about that. Ezra Miller is talking about, I'd be cool to have Morgan play Batman in my movie. Yeah. They're already saying that before the movie came out, or before Justice League came out. It's just it's setting ideas into people's heads where it's like it won't be such a shock when in next week or the following few weeks we find out that maybe Ben's not going to be in it. Or it would be an amazing thing to be like, hey, Matt Reeves and Ben Affleck are doing the Batman, and all of us can be like, well, thank God they worked it out, or whatever. So whatever way it works out, you can definitely, if you watch this video, the guy's tired of answering these questions. The guy just kind of wants to move on. That's what it feels that way to me.
What if they made a standalone Batman, but it was like all the people that have played Batman in years past, and they each get a couple scenes as Batman?
Love it.
Yeah, you get a couple Keatons in there. You get like a Clooney. You get a Kilmer. We'll have some like CGI Adam West in there. It'd be beautiful.
It's like that Bob Dylan movie where everybody plays
I'm
Bob
not there.
Dylan.
Yeah.
It's
like
Kate
that.
I'm not
Blanchett comes
Batman.
back.
I'm not Batman. There it is.
Batman. We
I
have 3
love
cells.
that.
Ashley, do you want to be the contrarian, or are you also giving away your nuggets on this case?
Tough to say, but I think that Ben Affleck just does not sound like he wants to continue this at all whatsoever. Fallen off from directing, they're not using his script. I want someone to be excited about their role that they're playing. There's nothing lamer than going to see a movie with an actor that doesn't want to be there, and find someone that really wants to be there.
Well, I do want to be here because we're about to talk about a trailer for a movie that I've had the pleasure of seeing and I might gush about.
After its recent world premiere in Mexico, Pixar's Coco is gearing up for its international rollout for all audiences, and to celebrate, Disney has released the final trailer for the movie. The film is about aspiring musician Miguel, voiced by Anthony Gonzalez, who teams up with a charming trickster, Hector, voiced by Gail Garcia Bernal, to embark on an extraordinary journey through the land of the dead. The movie heads into U.S. theaters on November 22nd. Mark, buy yourself the final trailer for Pixar's Coco.
Well, I buy the trailer because I think it's a great trailer, and having seen the movie, I think it's a very accurate representation of some of the things you're going to see in the movie. I'm going to go to Reilly because I want to see what the embargo for Coco is, because there's some things that I'd like to say, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to yet.
Oh, okay. I buy this trailer. I've never been a particularly big fan of all the marketing for this and the trailers. And maybe it's because we've had a similarly looking Land of the Dead movie
Book of the
and
Dead.
Book of Life. No,
Book of Life.
Book of Life. So
Land of
So
the Dead.
different.
it's and that's why I'm buying, because thank you, Mark Ellis. Did I give you? Yeah, I am hearing such wonderful things about this.
Oh, who'd you
and-
hear it from?
Yeah, I don't know. Back to you, Mark.
What? No, we're still under embargo. The social media embargo for Coco ends tonight at
Damn.
9 p.m.
Okay.
So 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So after Schmoes Know Live, we'll have our little song and dance, and then I'll tweet something probably about Coco and what happened to my tear ducts, because there might have been some salty discharge leaking.
Gross.
Don't do it.
Nope.
Don't do it.
Too late.
I said tear ducts up here. I'm
man.
keeping it clean, Pixar. Your
Yeah.
thoughts on the trailer?
The trailer's fantastic. Okay, when you put together some of the reactions I've heard into the trailer, and there's something interesting when I watch this, and knowing what I know, some colleagues, what they're saying, I go, okay, I'm starting to see that Pixar magic that maybe I missed a little bit. And that's on me. I didn't really give this movie the time that I needed to, as far as looking at it and going, I don't know. Now, and we went to D23, and I saw an extended clip, and I thought it was really great. But to take that clip out and not have the full movie, I was just like, okay, wait and see. Well, here I am, waiting and seeing. The trailer's great. I buy it. I can't wait to see this movie based on all the reactions I'm hearing.
Adult Elroy Jetson.
I buy this trailer, youngster. You know what? It's funny because Book of Life definitely didn't do it for me. And when I first heard about Coco and when I saw the very first trailer, just was like, just nothing really. Kind of a blank. It was like, okay, I don't know if I want to see this. And I have to go back when I watch this newer trailer and think about Up and how the final trailer for Up didn't even really sell me. And then when I got in that theater, I was crying after a 5-minute intro, like one of the most emotional, crazy sequences that I've seen Pixar put together. This feels like that could have that kind of power. This feels like it's going to a place somewhere different that we haven't explored yet, but emotionally. So having not seen the film, I want to go see Coco.
Ashley, you in on this? Does trailer hook you emotionally or spiritually, just aesthetically with the way the animation looks?
When I first saw this, it really reminded me a lot of the Book of Life, which also did not do it for me. But hearing someone be very excited about it excites me about it. And there's nothing I love more than a Pixar movie that just really pulls at the heartstrings, no pun intended. And I love just seeing a kid follow his dream. And there's an old person in this movie, and old people they make me want to cry.
Here's my poker face.
Whoa.
good.
I wonder
That's
what's
good.
behind that.
This trailer is great because it shows you a lot of elements of Coco, but also what you might want to expect as a viewer going in is that what hooked me initially when we saw like some stuff at D23 was just this kid, and he strums a guitar, and then all of a sudden he's in this magical world. I cannot play one chord on a guitar, but I love the guitar. I love the history of great guitar players. So seeing that be this magical transformative device and then getting into this other land, this other realm, made me feel shades of Beetlejuice. Then obviously the Mexican culture is all over this movie in such a beautiful way. From the trailer that you get to see, I think it's a very accurate representation of what you can expect going into the movie. So we'll have more coverage on Coco as we get closer to its Thanksgiving weekend release date, but this trailer is pretty damn good. Now we're going to get to another trailer, but wait, hang on, Gnomes. Hang on, Gnomes.
Oh, damn it.
We'll get to the Gnomes. I promised my children that we would get to the Gnomes, but we had a new trailer drop late last night. That is Steven Spielberg's The Post. It's the first official trailer for that movie that is coming out in select theaters December 22nd. It's going to be wide release January. You know what that means? Oscar push. And from this first trailer, I am going to go ahead and give it a huge buy. Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, Sarah Paulson, Bob Odenkirk, I forgot was in this movie. Looks like a great cast, and it's telling all about the story where the New York Times had these documents from the White House, and they were going to go public with it, and then the Washington Post trying to get some of those papers and trying trying to get them published before, whether either paper could do it legally, what the ramifications were going to be, what exactly lays in those papers from Nixon's White House. There's a whole lot of stuff going down in here, and I like the angle that they're taking telling this story, so I'm going to buy it. And one of my favorite scenes just in this trailer is when they tell Meryl Streep's character that they're not sure that a woman has the fortitude necessary to head this case. And I wasn't seeing, I think she'll disappear into the character just fine, but I wasn't seeing her character. I was seeing somebody tell Meryl Streep that she can't do something, and I was like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm buying the hell out of this trailer so far. How do you feel, Reilly?
I'm buying it. It's a huge buy. It dropped late last night. I stopped everything and immediately started watching it. You talk about Meryl Streep disappearing. The very first scene of the trailer, she's closing the door, her back's to us, and her voice alone, she disappeared. I'm like, oh, here it comes. She's getting top billing over Tom Hanks. That should tell you something, that this is going to be a big awards push for her. This is her story. And then, of course, Tom Hanks. This has shades of, and I know it's a very different story, but I'm seeing Munich in there. I'm seeing Steven Spielberg return to something that he has something very important to say. And he is going all out. He moved so many things around just so he could shoot this, because it's the perfect climate for it. It's the perfect time to tell this story. And when Spielberg has something to say, you get a Saving Private Ryan, you get a Schindler's List, you get a Munich, you get a Lincoln, and you get a Bridge of Spies. This looks phenomenal. I can't wait. Big buy.
A lot of movies Reilly's throwing out there. Schnepp, you buying the trailer as hard as he is?
I am buying the trailer. I mean, yeah, I mean, Spielberg dropped doing some robot film so that he could do this film or whatever his next, like, you know, kind of fluffier and, you know, summer blockbuster film. He was like, no, I've got to make this. He got Tom Hanks, he got Meryl Streep, and I feel it's upon now seeing the trailer, I see why that drive was there, because it's a real statement. And it's a statement about, like, holding on to truth and demanding, especially with our news. That's the only way that we as the public in America especially are able to find out things, you know, by having truth through news, and the truth has to come out. And so, you know, when you keep hearing this stuff about fake news, it's like all that does is erode everything about everything that America stands for. So you have to actually stand behind the people, the news reporters who are covering all of these events, and you have to support them. So I feel like no matter what it is, whether it was like the most recent stuff with, you know, suppression of Disney saying this or that, and then it came to a head, or whether it's dealing with, you know, our government and the GOP and, like, you know, all the stuff that's coming out now. So I feel like it's really important, and it's been going on forever. As you see, going back in history, you see these stories, you're like, yeah, people have to fight to make sure that criminals don't get one over on us. So I think it's
Spielberg's
great.
great at making blockbusters. He's also great at making movies that have political points, even if they take place in a period of time like Munich or Lincoln. They also could be a harbinger of our present or our future. Did you get a chance to watch this trailer, or were you busy trying to get to set first?
I watched it with you, Mark.
Okay.
You know, I really do.
News to me.
I really do like this story. I think it's really relevant to our times right now, but you know, there are moments in this show where I debate if I should just go with you guys and completely agree, and then sometimes I think I should just stand on my own. And I think I'm just going to stand on my own on this one. Rather than actually getting the story in this trailer, I was more concentrated on, oh my gosh, Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, Sarah Paulson. Like, I was really concentrated on these being great actors rather than the story. So I just don't think that this trailer did it for me.
Okay, that's fair. Well, there are a lot of famous people in here, and I'm very excited about watching the movie. And like we said, it does come out in select theaters December 22nd, so it gets that awards consideration that it probably is going to merit. Okay, fine. We can talk about, we have enough time. We're going to talk quickly about the new trailer that's on everybody's minds and ears and lips. The Gnomes are back, ladies and gentlemen. What are they doing this time, man?
Paramount Pictures has released the first trailer for the upcoming animated film Sherlock Gnomes. The film is a sequel to 2011's Romeo and Juliet and finds the title characters, voiced by James McAvoy and Emily Blunt, recruiting Sherlock Gnomes, voiced by Johnny Depp, to investigate a mysterious disappearance. Kung Fu Panda director John Stevenson directs the movie, which is set for release on March 23rd, 2018. Reilly, buyer saw the first trailer for Sherlock Gnomes.
Can we watch the post again, please? Can we watch that trailer and I can buy that again?
You have 30 seconds to talk about whatever trailer you'd like. You don't have to talk about the gnomes if you don't want to.
No, I'll talk about it because it's really funny. Because my favorite thing about all the coverage on this is that every headline said there's a fart joke 25 seconds in, which is hysterical to me that everybody's pinpointing. Do we have fart watch on all these trailers now? We have like a countdown, like there it is. It's like, you know, Mr. Skin back in the day where it's like they show like where you could see something at like how many seconds, minutes in. Now we have farts. So my niece,
I'm sure one of the guys in one of the paper rooms in the Post let one rip at some point.
yeah, but we don't focus on it there and go, Meryl Streep. Okay. My niece buys this. She is big into farts right now.
Yeah.
Okay? She buys this, and I will go watch it with her. But I saw this trailer. It just looks, oh my God. And we have Johnny Depp coming in as Sherlock Gnomes. And he's just doing his Johnny Depp thing as an animated gnome. It's hysterical to think about when you have Johnny Depp in this movie. But this movie sat on a shelf for a very long time. That doesn't bode well for any movie. So it's probably very much geared to children. It's going to be very simple. Lots of fart jokes, lots of you know, gnomes losing their heads and walking around without heads. Have at it, kids.
John Schnepp, buy or sell?
You make a poopy in your pants.
Yeah.
You make a little poopy in your pants. Oh my God! You make a poopy. In oh, the Sherlock
That's
Gnomes.
the script.
Oh my God! Look, the guy. There's a little butt. Oh, look, little butt. Moo, ha ha.
Looks like an audition for a serial killer role.
Yeah, it's not for me. This
That was a
movie
deleted
is
scene from Mindhunter.
definitely not for me. It's like, you know, it's definitely it's for kids. I think you're 100% right. 4 and under should be going to see this movie. Parents like Christian Harloff's gonna have to go. Oh God, little kid's gonna be happy. Like, hey, look, Daddy, the fart joke. He's like, I know, I make the fart sound now too on the show.
If I could find one person to defend a damn good fart joke, which is what I thought we got with this trailer, it's the young lady sitting to my right, Ashley Mova. I know you enjoy some good potty humor.
I really do. And you know what? I'm just going to stand a moment again because I thought this was funny. I don't think that they're trying to be some like, oh my God, this autistic masterpiece. Yes, the fart jokes. Like, it's just a funny time at the movie. It's
I
not
wish that was in
serious.
there. You know, it's the fart jokes again. Where's my master
It's the
Numpkins?
fuck game. You'll play one day, son.
Yeah, but I didn't see the first one, but I thought it was funny.
I am proud to announce that Ashley's not standing on her own because I'm also buying this trailer. It's a kids movie. It's a good fart joke. Here's what really sold me on the trailer is that I saw Romeo and Juliet and the movie stole my heart. I thought it was a really good animated film. And here's why I'm also buying it is because once again, we get original music by Elton John and Bernie Taupin. That doesn't happen all the time, kids. All your favorite Elton John tunes of yesteryear, it was him and Bernie Taupin working together. Don't let the sun go down on me. Your song, Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting. Elton John and Bernie Taupin created some of the greatest rock pop songs of all time, and they probably had some funny fart jokes in their private time. But it doesn't matter because the new Gnomes movie, I'm buying the trailer for it.
Yay!
Original music. It's the credits. They wrote a song for the credits that they recorded 5 years ago, and they were wondering when it was going to come out on Sherlock Gnomes, and now it's finally dropping? That's what...
Did you say it's dropping like poops?
Yeah, it's dropping.
Dropping.
Poops.
Hey, you can tell everybody that this is your fart joke. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind.
Oh my God. Okay, you just saved that segment. All right.
That I put down
We're
in
okay.
farts.
You just dropped that
How
mic.
wonderful life is when fart jokes are in the world.
Yeah.
This is not the only show we have on Collider Video, ladies and gentlemen. If you're still subscribed to the channel, then you're going to want to see the top 50 superhero movies of all time. We have an ongoing list, a new vid dropping every weekday. So make sure you stay tuned to Collider Video for that. We also have an all-new schmodown between Rachel Cushing and Sam Levine. And do not forget, you get an all-new tasty nugget of John Schnepp hosting Heroes. Is that later on today?
Yes, that is, sir.
That is so exciting. John Schnepp and his band of merry men and women talking all things comic book movies.
Not covering
and comic
Sherlock
book
Gnomes,
related.
guaranteed. Will not be in the
But there
program.
might be some potty humor in there. We got some Thor Ragnarok spoiler goodness for you guys up now, and we will have Murder on the Orient Express as a new review later on this week on both Collider Collider Video and on Schmoes Know. And with that, we are going to eschew mailbag because we just don't have time for mailbag today. I don't have time to walk all the way out there, get the mail, come back in, open it, sort through all the bills to find one great letter. So instead, we're going to go to live Twitter questions. You guys can tweet us anytime, Collider Video, and then put an @ in front of it. Use all 280 characters if you are so blessed. Ask a good question, and Ashley's got a couple of them right now. What do we got?
Yeah, Kaiju Ninja writes, if Affleck hangs up the cowl, who would you pick to be your Bruce Wayne / Batman? What about John Hamm?
John Hamm wouldn't be bad because it seems like they like going towards this older Batman where I actually got to see John Hamm in person a few weeks ago in New York City, and dude, he's still in shape, but he could also be that grizzled veteran Bruce Wayne that's been through some stuff, that saw Gotham City love him, then saw Gotham City turn on him, and then where does he go now? Schnepp, do you want an older Batman or a new fresh-faced Batman?
I would go with Armie Hammer. I mean, he was already cast. I've seen what he looked like as Batman. I've seen the Justice League photos of him as Batman. He looked great. I think he would be a perfect Batman.
Mark Reilly, who you got?
Carl Urban. I would like, he didn't get his shot with Dredd. Dredd is a fantastic movie. Go watch our video. It made the top 50 in our list. And because he doesn't look like he's going to come back for Dredd, I think he'd be a fantastic Batman that could fit into this universe. And like you said earlier, Schnepp, just put him right in there once Ben Affleck's done.
I want super old Batman, all right? I want Michael Caine as Batman. He was the butler once, and we saw what a badass he was as Alfred. I want Michael Caine as Batman. If I can't have him, maybe I'll take somebody like, it'd be cool, like a Ray Stevenson. Like, I want an old, like, he's been through so much Batman, and then he might put on the uniform one more time. Ashley, let's do one more Twitter question, and then we are going to call this a day and go get some nuggets.
That loser, Desmond. Desmond, you are not a loser. That is so sad. All right. He writes, is 2017 the year of child actors?
God, I hope not. I don't want these children getting a big head. We've had some good ensemble casts that feature children, most notably It, and then Stranger Things 2 coming out, and some of that has crossover as well. But there's a lot of good child actors on the radar right now. I root for kids if they want to be in projects. I think that we've come to an era where we have less of the stage mommy and stage daddy syndrome where they're pushing their kids towards it. There's more opportunities for children. There's more laws in place to make sure that they're working and they're also learning something with their day. They're not just polluting their minds with fart jokes and Tootsie Rolls. So we've had some good performances by children. Not enough to make me want to have any, Reilly.
Yeah, I'm okay with my furry baby right now.
He's on your shirt.
Yeah, he has his own shirt
he's a
too.
good boy.
I think what the year is that the year that studios can look and say, we can tell a good story with kids. And it doesn't matter, because I remember 7 years ago, Schnepp, you can probably help me out here. When you're pitching stuff, I pitched an all-kids movie like Goonies, and they're like, no, movies don't sell with kids. And it was just like, they didn't even talk about the story. They was just like, shut the door, go home, here's your validation. And I was very, very bummed. And so about 7 years later, we're finally seeing, and it happened to Fukunaga, who was working on it. At one point, and Muschietti said this as well, they were like, no, we don't want to do it with kids. Kid movie don't sell. So they didn't want to do it. And finally, they took the chance, and look at what happened.
Right.
It is the highest grossing movie, horror movie of all time. So I'm glad it's happening. So you could say it's the year of the child actor, but I think it's just a year that studios are going, it can work, and we're going to see more of it.
Me having to hang out with a gaggle of kids. That's a horror movie.
That's a horror movie.
I think 2017, it's less of a nostalgia from a decade, 80s or 90s standpoint, but it does seem like this has been the year where we get nostalgic for our lost childhoods. Before we had cell phones and before we had any of this stuff, when you just had to go out in the fort and make a woods and hope you stumbled across an adult magazine.
Sure. I mean, my guess is 2018 will be Year of the Kid, and Cat Stevens can re-record his Year of the Cat and just add Kid instead.
Nice.
Yeah, this year is just sort of the realization of what you're just talking about, where it's like, yeah, you know, the nostalgia trigger is very triggerable, especially when you have that era from the 80s, and then you're going to 1984, and you're in 1984, you're inside that arcade. I think you should repitch that script now, for next year. So it's sort of, I think, next year you're going to see a lot like Asher Angel. You're going to see all these, like, even the superhero films now. They got a Shazam film. So I think you'll see that more more so next year and in 2019 than now.
1984, a pretty damn good year for music. Ashley, do you think that when you see a movie that features a lot of kids, are you instantly locked in, or is there like a 5-minute window where you have to be like, oh, God, I got to look at these little rascals?
Well, I think it depends if the kid has talent or not. Like a kid that really, I think, is so talented, Jacob Tremblay, who did it for me in Room, and now he's going to be in Wonder, which I'm really excited to see. And I think he's so talented. So if the kid can act, the kid can act.
That Wonder movie, that looks like, if I have any tears left from watching Coco, it looks like Wonder's just going to reach into my eyeballs and yank them right out. Thank you guys for tuning in to Collider Video's Movie Talk today. We appreciate all of your support and patronage throughout the weekday and the weekends as well. I want to thank all of our hardworking crew behind the scenes. We feed them nuggets at the appropriate times, as well as everybody up here with me. For Ashley Mova, John Schnepp, Mark Reilly, and of course, Cal the Schmodog. My name is barely Mark Ellis, and we will see you guys tomorrow for another episode of Collider Movie Talk. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.